All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry for the a little bit later than usual. I think it being Thanksgiving week, there's a lot of people doing things, and I was just trying to gather a panel, and so we got a few of us here, and we'll have a conversation. I'm sure a few people will jump in before it's over with. And mute. I hate that you can't mute it beforehand. Anyway, um, just letting everybody do just Matt and Greg. Greg, do you want to do a little intro?
Sure. I think most people here know me by now. I'm just glad to be here. I get on these chats every chance I get, and when you guys have let me, and just glad to be here.
Matt, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, well, first, I don't know if it was a glitch, but the prepper chat last night, I was able to mute it before it even started, like you used to be able to. So I don't know if they're working on that right now, and I happened to catch it at a good time, or if I caught it at a good time and they're phasing it out. I don't know which way it went, but I was surprised. I was actually able to do that last night. Anyway, yeah, Matt from Resist to Tyranny here on YouTube. Resist Tyranny, Guns, Gear, Politics. I got a new video out tonight, or today, actually, earlier today. It hasn't seemed to hit people's feeds, or they just don't care either way. Got another one coming out tomorrow, and I'll be making another 2 or 3 videos throughout next week, so everybody be on the lookout for those. Mostly gear reviews, some things I've had piled up over here that I haven't had a chance to go out and do after work. So, yeah, other than that, thanks for having me on.
Cool. Yeah, I actually enjoying the gear reviews and stuff. I think it's something everybody's a little bit interested in, and I usually try to watch those. I missed yours today. I'll go back and watch it. And I'm going to go ahead and do a shout out to everybody out there. Let me go do a rundown of the audience. We got Gimp Geek, Weapon Machinist, King Coin, Weapon Machinist, Southern Style 357, Blues Girl 65, Julia Campbell. Let's see if I can get, of course, Resisted Tyranny's out there. Fuzzy to you. J. Greg, who's here. That looks like that. Y'all was having quite a conversation out there. Yeah, I'm still scrolling looking for somebody new. SKS Hugo, P NASCARs, and earlier Big Baby Zip, Gear Gridden 19.
I think New England Fish and Mindy Patriot Angel just popped in too.
Okay, yep, they just did. All right, cool. All right. I don't really have a lot on my plate. I was just kind of not overwhelmed, just surprised. A few days ago, a week ago, hell, it's been a little bit now. That attack that the French did on the terrorist cell, which they were able to capture 8 people. 2 people got killed. And it may have changed by now. They might have announced 3 because supposedly they captured one of the masterminds and the girl, the first European suicide female bomber set off a bomb, killed herself. But what really caught my attention was the fact that they fired 5,000 bullets. And then if you look at the pictures of the building, evidently they fired all 5,000 pretty much through the windows. So it's kind of like they all had to do is walk away from the window, sit down, and let them fire for 2 or 3 hours through these windows and doors. I didn't see any footage of the firefight going on. I'm just thinking this one building, you fired 5,000 rounds into it. For all I know, you didn't really actually hit anybody. The suicide chick that blew the bomb up may have been the only one that took out anybody. She took out herself. I don't know about the other one that got killed, whether he was hit or they hit him. It just, I thought it was kind of comical myself. I mean, not you're not comical that they were terrorists and all this, but just the fact that there was this one little building, apartment complex, 2 or 3 stories. They fired 5,000 rounds into it, and then ended up having 8 people that they captured without evidently hitting anybody. Maybe one person. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to follow their tactics as far as taking a enemy down. I just want to know if y'all read into that any.
Well, I haven't read that article, but the first thing that runs through my mind is, were they getting shot at? If they were getting shot at, while 5,000 rounds seems very excessive, all three of us know about suppressive fire. So that's the first thing that runs through my mind is suppressive fire. However, if they weren't getting shot at, if it wasn't return fire or suppressive fire, and they're just continuously firing at the building blindly, yeah, you can almost like imagine the Benny Hill music going like in the background and like speeding up the video just a little bit, watching them jump around and
Yeah, I haven't read the article either, but I was thinking the same thing as you, Matt. I could understand it if it was suppressive fire, but if you weren't getting shot at, instead of spending 5,000 bullets, how about just 3 or 4 flashbangs through those windows, and then a door kicking team.
Yeah, like I said, I hadn't seen any video of the actual firefight. I don't know if they were taking on fire or not. Yeah, and I understand the suppressive fire, but I was reading the article. I mean, it was USA Today. I brought the damn newspaper home because I was like, really? Let me just put this to the side here because I just don't understand how they fired 5,000 rounds and maybe or maybe not even hit anybody in this one apartment complex. Not even a complex. I'm just saying an apartment building. And if you look at the pictures, you can see a few rounds like hit the building, but they like ripped out the windows. It's like it was just concentrating their fire on the windows, which is like a brick and mortar type building. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, why would you fire 5,000 rounds through the windows? All they had to do was sit beside the window and not get hit, and evidently that's what they done. It seemed kind of,
yeah,
which
it's amazing how we see these sort of things. Again, I'm not going to jump to conclusions because I haven't read the article, seen pictures, or anything like that. However, I mean, how often do we see news articles about American cops that, jump on the hood of a car and they have to reload 3 times while emptying their magazines into the chest of somebody who didn't even have a weapon? That's of course an extreme one because it's not like that happens daily, but we've seen those articles, we've seen those videos, we've heard those news stories. It does sound excessive, but again, not knowing the whole story. Then again, I'm going to try for a second to put myself in their shoes. These people just, slaughtered 100+ people in a couple public areas. My guess is there's some adrenaline there that's not being taken into account. But again, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it seems at least wasteful. At minimum, it's wasteful since they didn't hit anybody. You would think a wall of 5,000 rounds you're bound to hit somebody. I mean, a blind man shooting 5,000 rounds at 8 people is bound to hit somebody.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my whole thing. It's not that they fired 5,000 rounds. They fired 5,000 rounds and evidently didn't really hit anybody, from the best I can gather.
Now,
Uh,
was this the French police or the French military that was doing the operation?
I think it was actually both. The military was there too. Whether they were firing or not, I don't know. I know the French military was there on the scene also. And I don't know how many police were there. I don't know if it was 10 guys or 100 guys. It come out in the USA Today report that 5,000 rounds were fired into this apartment, and
Oh,
they got 8 hostages, 2 terrorists dead, or suspected terrorists, I should say, and but one of those blew herself up, and I don't know that when she blew herself up, she didn't kill the other one. So to
I
me,
want
it just screamed fucking inability to handle a situation. But that's just me. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't see how it went down. Like you say, Matt, could have been a lot of suppressive fire. I know some of the training I've been in is suppressive fire, and as an individual, some of the exercises I went through, you just about couldn't fucking carry enough ammo just to go through a 5-minute exercise. So I understand a lot of rounds downrange, in a suppressive fire situation.
yeah, but again, not hitting anything might be time to think about some training courses, or reevaluating the training courses that they have.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
carry
don't think I'm going to go to France for any training exercises anytime soon.
I carry 150 round loadout. That's what I train in, and honestly, during live fire maneuvers, when we're doing suppressive fire and bounding, especially buddy bounding, it's not a problem for me to go through all 5 magazines, depending on how long the course is and how far we're bounding backwards as far as suppressive fire goes. Yeah, I mean, 5 magazines is nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I got one chest rig that will hold 10 magazines, and I've been through some exercises like I could see me actually going through 300 fucking rounds of ammunition. And not necessarily a 5 minute, but maybe a 10-minute thing. It depended on the situation. If you was under heavy fire and you're doing the bounding back, the little leapfrog thing back and doing suppressive fire, it's like, damn, I went through some of those exercises, and it's like, shit, I mean, I could actually see me going through 200 rounds of ammo and easily, easily. So, yeah,
Oh yeah, but at least a few of those rounds were hitting what you were shooting at.
you would hope.
Yeah, even if it's just a vehicle or a rock to keep somebody's head down, at least you were hitting what you were shooting
Yeah,
at.
if nothing else, keep somebody's head down, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the exercises we done. The guy doing the exercise, the training was Army, and this is kind of their training was suppressive fire, which is very effective. Suppressive fire, I don't give a shit if it's a 22. If you got 10 people with 10 22s, Ruger 10 22s, and they're popping off rounds, I guarantee you, if you was on in that little foxhole or behind that rock, you're gonna keep your head down. You know.
Oh yeah, if you got incoming rounds, you're not getting up and looking around anytime soon.
Yeah.
Jay Gregg made a comment about the 150 rounds. He says, I got that in my sock. A 5 to 7 magazine loadout is pretty common. And any bigger than that is a lot. I mean, it's considered to be almost too much, depending on what your job is in, say, the infantry or in your unit. But most people, a 5 to 7 loadout, that's pretty common. So, yeah.
What's up, Mikey?
Not much, brother. What's going on?
SOS, man.
What's up, Mike?
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, I would say if you got the mag in your rifle and 6 more mags, that would probably be most people's probably what they carry. They may carry more than that. Like I said, I got a chest rig that I can carry 10 magazines, but 10 magazines, even at 223 or 556, that's a lot of weight, and
Yes.
that's not with a that's just a vest that carries the magazines. It's not a plate carrier.
Yeah.
So if I got the plate carrier on and try to put that on too with that many magazines, that's a tremendous amount of weight.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be out running and gunning all day.
Yeah, my plate carrier, I just have two old, whatever. I got two old, like almost Vietnam era, M16 mag carriers. So I carry 6 magazines in that. I got some a couple magazines carriers for a pistol and a pistol mag. I mean a pistol holster. So yeah, I mean like 7 magazines is really all I with the plate carrier. That's about all I really want to fucking carry.
I forgot about the magazine in the rifle, because you're not supposed to count that. If you've shot one round out of that magazine, it's considered empty. So yeah, I forgot about that one. So I guess that's 6 magazines altogether that I'm actually carrying. I carry 3 on my plate carrier. It's a kangaroo pouch, three rifle mags, 3 pistol mags, 2 rifle mags and 2 pistol mags in my battle belt, holster, IFAK, dub pouch, radio, knife, chem lights. Man,
And that's a lot of weight to be carrying all day.
That's a workout. God bless you.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the only time probably Matt has probably more training in this than I actually have, but unless I had a specific mission in mind, that's probably a normal. That's probably all you would carry, unless you was actually had a mission specific, that you was going to do that you would carry more ammo than that. And you wouldn't have any, rations or anything like that. This is a run and gun. We're going to go in here, we're going to do this and come back out. Whatever the operation is, you may carry more ammo then. But as far as a regular patrol or regular whatever, you wouldn't be carrying more than that.
no, that's not uncommon for a regular patrol. Not like a recon, something that's just a recon mission. You might carry, you'll travel a little lighter than that. You'll maybe have 2 or 3 magazines on you. But yeah, on like a scouting patrol where you're more or less planning on running into something bad. Yeah, that's a 5 to 7 magazine loadout is pretty common. Unless you have a specific job, there's usually one guy that's got like a drum. Like the guy carrying the saw, who's got a 50 or 100 round drum or a box mag, things of that nature. Radio guys carrying more equipment, medical guys carrying more equipment, stuff like that. But the vast majority of your squad or unit is going to have that kind of a loadout.
Wow.
Without getting too intrusive, whatever you feel comfortable with, Matt. Do y'all have a radio guy that actually carries a full blown ham radio in your militia?
No.
Or can you tell us that?
No. We all carry radios, our individual radios. They're the Baofangs, UV5R.
Okay.
So they're not the most expensive radios, but they do work. And we've got guys that have the full hams, but those are usually back at camp.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I guess on a normal patrol, the little 2-meter, 70 centimeter radios would reach far enough to get back to base camp. no further than you'd probably be going on a normal patrol. So that makes sense. It's not like Vietnam. I mean, the technology has caught up with us on some things. So yeah, makes sense. Um, anything got on anybody's radar y'all want to talk about?
I saw a comment out in the chat room. I think it was before we started. I had seen articles, and I didn't read a single one of them, but I saw just headlines when scrolling through my G Plus and Facebook feed about anonymous, something to do with anonymous, like cyber attacking or warning of plots since the Paris attack, and that somehow or another they were going to stop these attacks. I saw a comment out in the chat room about that. Has anybody else heard about that?
Yeah, I'm like you. I seen the headline. I didn't read the article, and it kind of seemed kind of BS to me. But there again, I didn't read the article, so I don't know.
The attacks were supposed to happen today.
Yep. And I hadn't, but there again, I didn't check up on the news right before we started this chat, so I don't know what's happened today, to be honest with you, if anything.
There was some chatter out there about there supposedly being some attacks in the U.S. either today or tomorrow. I didn't read too much on it. Don't know that much about it, but there was some chatter out there about that.
Down in Atlanta.
It says, Gimp Geek says 7 attacks. Warned of 7 attacks today.
Warned of 7 attacks. One of them was supposed to be in Atlanta tonight at some wrestling pay-per-view.
Now, that would be interesting. Some ISIS people in there with a bunch of wrestling fans, that might turn out wrong for them.
They might lose that fight.
A bunch of people that think they're Hulk Hogan.
There you go. Kim Keek says one was in Atlanta, the others were overseas.
Okay. I thought it was kind of, putting my tinfoil hat on, awful suspicious that right after those Paris attacks, and I hadn't really read into it, and I'm not really voicing any opinion one way or another on it. I just thought it was kind of weird that right after the Paris attack, that there were so many Syrian supposedly, refugees caught in Honduras and Belize and all these other places, just all at the same time, like within like 2 days. And then now it's a week later or a few days later, and we hadn't really heard anything since. To me, it sounded like they was kind of trying to hype up the refugee problem, which I think is a problem. Hey, I'm the first one to raise my hand. Hell no, don't let these some bitches in because we don't know who they are. But I thought it was kind of weird that so many popped up all of a sudden.
Well, and I have a tendency to agree with what Space Bunch just said over here, is that, it's like a lot of things. It happens all the time, but it's on the occasion that they actually report it, that we hear about it. That goes all the way back to like what we talked about with Jade Helm. Those maneuvers happen daily. We just don't hear about them. We don't know about them. So I think part of it could possibly be, but see, the mainstream media, for the most part, is all for the refugees. So why they would risk hyping it up in order for people to get pissed about it, I can't understand.
Just to get the views.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. It's probably not that people are not. It's just that they actually reported on it. But they were reporting on like Spacebun says, probably for views. I mean, like the one that they supposedly captured 8 Syrian refugees on the Mexican border, but they could not confirm it or disconfirm it. You know, it was so weak of a damn story. They just threw it just enough out there to make a headline, but then they couldn't confirm it. For all we know, these people were from El Salvador. We really don't fucking know because they couldn't say that they were Syrian, Iraq, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
that's an old media trick. If you can neither confirm nor deny the story, then you can write anything you want.
Right.
If you're not made to confirm it, you can write anything that you want.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the unable to confirm wasn't their nationality. It was whether or not they were ISIS members. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right on that.
I'm
They
not
knew
sure.
what they knew they were from Syria, but they couldn't confirm whether or not they were part of ISIS.
Well, now the initial story, I think they couldn't even confirm that they were from Syria, but I didn't see if there were any backup stories to that. So they could be, like you said, whether they were part of a terrorist group or not. But I think actually the first report I seen, they couldn't even confirm they were from Syria. That's just the initial story. Like you say, for sensationalism, to. But there again, I didn't do any. I mean, hell, that's been like several days ago, if not a week ago. So, you know.
Well, I can confirm through people that I've talked to that the 6 Muslims that were caught crossing the border in Arizona here is a factual story. I can't confirm the one from Laredo, Texas, and I can't confirm the one that I heard from somebody I know about northern Ohio, not far from a Canadian border crossing. So I can't necessarily confirm those two, but the one that happened, the 6 that were reportedly caught in southern Arizona is a true story.
Yeah, it probably, just like you said, Matt, it probably does have a lot to do with just the fact that anybody from Syria or any intel whatsoever from Syrian people probably just made the headlines because of the situation going on. So that makes sense. It just seemed kind of weird. Me and some other guys at work were just kind of looking at each other like, what the fuck? All of a sudden, everybody from Syria coming into the States? What's going on? So I thought that but like you said, I mean, looking for views, they're looking for sensationalism. So who knows?
And I could be completely off here. It's just something I thought about. If there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees trying to get into this country, which is what's being reported, or that's being invited to this country by the government, it would make sense that people that are coming in are probably Syrian. That that just kind of, if our government was inviting hundreds of thousands of Mexicans, and you caught some Mexicans crossing the border, guess what? It's probably true. If it was Africans, it would be Africans crossing the border, and so on. So it makes a little bit of sense. However, there's so many entities, there's so many people and so many nationalities that are crossing our border or coming across the water into Florida, that once you start seeing a pattern of they're all Syrians, that starts raising red flags. It's not like there's some Cubans here, some Mexicans here, some Muslims here, and some whatever, here.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some stats on exactly what what the refugees coming over are. Are they all men? 18 to 30, or are there women and children mixed in, some elderly people mixed in?
And that's my problem with it. I'm like caught half and half because, you know, you got some woman with 3 kids or whatever, or like you just said, Greg, with you know, some elderly folk or what have you. You know, we're a melting pot. We have been since day one. It's not going to change. There are people going to come here from every land that there is. It's just the way life is. Now, I have a rule with that. Come in the right way, come in legally, and all that bullshit, and get yourself see if you can do what you can do to get yourself some work, and yada, 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 go from there. Just like my Italian ancestors did. Do the same thing they did is all I ask. I mean, I don't have any problem with somebody fleeing a country for fear of whatever, or try to make a better life for themselves, or anything like that, you know. Now, the problem, the other half of that is that are they males 25, 20 to 45, 40, whatever the hell it is, and are they involved in ISIS? Well, they're not just, that's another whole, see, it's 2 separate things. It's another keg of worms you open up, you know, and so it's like I'm being pulled at both ends, you know. Obviously, you don't want the ISIS people in there, obviously, but at the same time, I can't say no to an older woman or a kid. It's just my makeup, I guess.
I can. Gipke says he's hearing that over 40% are military-age men. Well, a number like 40% makes sense. I mean, if it's an evenly distributed amount of people, women, children, and men, 40% makes sense. You know, that seems like a reasonably average number, which kind of makes me feel like that number was pulled out of a average. You know, like if there's 100,000 people coming, it would make sense that 40% of them are males. But I've also seen like what Stump said. Stump said he heard 70% or more were military-age men. Anyway, you put it, they don't need to be coming here. I don't really care who they are. There's a whole country right next door to them called Saudi Arabia. Lots of Muslims there. Lots of room, lots of money. They could go there. It's a lot closer place. It's a lot safer travel, and they don't have to be here.
I'll agree with that. And Saudi Arabia has taken 0 of the refugees so far. So why are we opening our doors up to hundreds of thousands of refugees when Saudi Arabia is right there? And there's a few other countries around there that's taking in 0 as well. But look at the mess that Europe's in right now from taking in these refugees. I mean, there's so many angles that we could go discuss about who's taking in refugees, who's causing the refugees. But the bottom line is like you, Matt. I mean, Mike. I don't mind people coming into the country. I mean, you're right. This country is, every one of us traces our backgrounds to a immigrant at some point, time or another. But right now, I'm not sure this is the best time to be taking in hundreds of thousands of refugees from a country that, you know, like it or not, one way or another, that we're helping destroy for the right reasons or not. It don't matter. It don't matter what the reason is happening, you know. So it don't matter that 1% of them might be pissed off at us. If you invite 100,000 and 1% of them may be potentially terrorists, well, that means there's 1,000 terrorists we just invited into our fucking country. That's too fucking many. So
well,
I'm against it.
It would make sense. I mean, of the 1.6 billion Muslims in the world, an estimated 400 million of them are either active in or support terrorist activities. That's more than the population of the United States. So when you start talking about 100,000 here, 100,000 there, a bunch of refugees, it doesn't matter whether it's United States, France, whatever country they're getting shipped to. It's only a matter of time before there's one or many of those 400 million in those groups.
Yeah, I mean, they would be stupid not to try to use this mass influx to get people into the country. The thing is, yeah, they might as well use that influx to get some people in. Traditionally, they've recruited from within the U.S. through mass media, or not mass media, but multimedia, through the internet. That's the thing to me that's more dangerous than the refugees coming in, is the fact that there's already people here in place that have been recruited by them.
Yeah, I mean, my stance all along is that we help create the mess we're in, and now we have to deal with it. And inviting them into our home, I think, is a bad move. I mean, it's, as much as I'm against us stirring up shit in the Middle East, I'm more against us inviting those people here to stir up shit in our own country. I mean, if nothing else, it's just an excuse to clamp down more laws.
A buddy of mine that I train with, he was talking about when he lived in Virginia. I think it was Virginia. He worked in a factory where there was a couple Muslims that worked there, and before long, a couple more got hired, and a couple more got hired. And he said he noticed a pattern that when it was, because we were having a conversation about moderate Muslims and how there's actually no such thing, but it's how when it was just a couple of them, they were very respectful. They didn't really care about whether or not they were allowed to wear certain things or certain foods were being, being allowed in the building. And so, just a number of things. They didn't seem to care. And, they seemed to be conforming at that point. You get a couple more, they got a little rowdier. A couple more got hired, they got a little rowdier yet. And before you know it, when there's a group of them, next thing you know, the moderate Muslim turned into the guy who, didn't like you because you were white, didn't like you because you didn't believe the way he did. They started demanding all the things that we see them demanding today out of the company because of their religious freedoms and beliefs and things of that nature. So this multiplies the problem that what we have here right now, like Greg was saying, we already have them trying to convert people. We have them trying to recruit people into terrorist organizations. When you bring more of them over, whether or not a single one of them supports terrorist activities, you bring a large group like that, we're going to run into more problems.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever. And as much as I mean, not kind of off subject, but kind of with him, that's one of the problems I have with some of the policies the United States had with taking out leaders of these countries because they ruled with an iron fist, whether it's Assad or Saddam Hussein or whoever. The only way they could keep peace is ruling with an iron fist. And we've been over there, I mean, I don't mean to change the conversation, but we went over there saying, oh, look, they're not humanitarian because they're doing this or they're doing that. That's, in my eyes, that's what it took to keep everybody at ease, that kept them from attacking each other. It took that son of a bitch with an iron fist to clamp down on a few people here and there, make examples of them, and they kept peace for the most part. It's not like they wasn't killing each other. I understand that, blah, blah, blah. But, we can't think our Western domestic ways is going to just work everywhere. It don't work in the Middle East. Because, most people know, I mean, these people, even within the Muslim world, their sects, or not sects, SECT, sext, not with an X. They battle with each other and they are against each other. And it took these rulers with an iron fist to keep them under control. It's like, look, you step out of line, they're going to fucking put my foot down on your head with a bullet, past that. And a lot of times we've went over there and said, oh, this guy's mean to his people. He's oppressive. He's blah, 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 blah. We need to take him out. Well, no, we should have left him in there because he was keeping them at bay. And this is one of my opinions.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tion. I mean, we basically went in and further destabilized an already unstable region. I mean, we took out the governments that were, being oppressive to their people, but they were also keeping the peace over there at the same time. We came in, took them out, put in a democratic government that just doesn't work in that part of the world at all.
Well, it hasn't for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years either, so I don't know why they keep doing it. It's like they think it's like throwing shit against the wall. It might stick one of these times. I mean, really.
I mean, I'm not saying it's our job to put leaders in places, but the argument can be made both ways that if it happened here, I mean, if they started ruling with an iron fist here, I mean, look what's happening. The police are starting to rule with an iron fist. The government is starting to rule with an iron fist, and it's making it worse. People are starting to rise up. People are starting to riot. Things are getting worse in this country, among other reasons, but that's one of them. So the argument can be made either way, that ruling with an iron fist either keeps people at bay or destabilizes the people and makes them angrier.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Matt. I mean, that's how the country got born was, England was being oppressive to the colonists. And, there's been lots of examples after that. But mainly the difference between here and the Middle East is the police are starting to turn into a police force here, and the people are not going to put up with it because they were free to start with. They know what freedom is. And in the Middle East, those people have been oppressed for thousands of years. They have no clue what freedom is. When they do get freedom, they don't know what the hell to do with it. They just run around with like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off.
Oh, true. No doubt. We can do what we want. I mean, that's actually a really good example. You give them room to do what they want, and they destroy everything. So that's actually a really good argument there.
That's what I dictate.
Well, I mean, I think, there's maybe groups within America that are at odds with each other, but we're not necessarily at bayonet's end, at odds with each other. Whether it's race, religion, sex, whatever, we have our own internal disputes with each other, but I don't think we necessarily at the point of killing each other. I don't think. If it wasn't the law keeping us from doing it. Whereas in the Middle East, if you start talking Sunnis and Shiites and all this, they actually want to fucking kill each other. And these leaders were kind of keeping them at bay. I mean, Iraq was actually, if I'm not mistaken, the majority was Sunni, but yet the Saddam kept the Shiites and Sunnis at bay with each other, and he was more like Shiite. I could be wrong on that. I could have my facts a little bit, bad. I don't know, but from what I understand,
Most of them are.
so yeah, I think he was keeping them at bay, you know, and the Sunni is what the if I'm not mistaken, is what ISIS is. The more the Taliban type religious view, and he kept them all pretty much at bay. I mean, even Assad, even though he might have been considered a ruthless leader, there was Jewish, Christian, Sunni, Shiite, all of them living within that country. And if any of them stepped out of place to go after Christians or to go after the Jews or go after the Shiites, he would stomp down on them. So yeah, he might have been a ruthless leader or is a ruthless leader, but he kept peace or is keeping peace. So I don't really see where, like kind of Matt or Greg said, we may not agree with their tactics, but that's what it takes to keep peace in that region, the way I see it.
I don't know that there's any way to really. I mean, because we've touched on it. I think Greg mentioned it. You mentioned it. I think Mike even mentioned it. I mean, these people have been fighting each other. The only common goal both groups have is world domination of Islam. That's the only common goal that both groups have. Other than that, they've been doing this for thousands of years. The problem is this. Every time they take a break of doing this, they go somewhere else and do this with that country in order to spread their religion. I don't know that there's such thing as a leader, president, dictator, whatever you want to call him, in Iraq, in Iran, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Yemen, Pakistan, and on down the line, that is actually able to keep peace between the two. One of the biggest problems are the bleeding hearts that, like when there was the report about Assad killing his own people. Well, let's forget about the stories we know and the stories we read and stories we heard about whether it was the rebels doing the killing or, gassing the people or whether it was Assad. Unimportant for this conversation. Where do we draw the line? We talk about, stepping on their necks to keep them in line, but where do we draw the line? Okay, so the threat of stepping on your neck to keep you in line is okay for there, not here, for there. But if they start killing a bunch of people, is that still okay? If that president or leader just, starts attacking the people, is that okay? I don't know, and that's an honest question. I mean, I don't know where that line would be drawn.
Well, throw a monkey wrench in that. How many police officers have killed American citizens in the last few years?
1,100 a year, 11 to 1,200 a year, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, just to throw it out there. Yeah, I know you keep up with that.
Yeah, that wasn't a wrench. That was a gallon of gasoline.
But I mean, seriously, I mean, you could throw that argument out there. It's like, okay, Assad killed 300 people with a nerve gas, and it's like, well, yeah, but America cops killed 1,100 people. So, it gets back to that police in the world thing. That's my point.
And that's the whole problem in a nutshell. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid in 1980, 81, when the hell Iran took the hostages. I was a kid. I was, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, what the hell it was, 14 years old. And what's changed since then? Absolutely bumpkiss. Nothing. Nothing's changed. We're going to go over and stick our nose into a fight that's been happening for eons. and then they wind up hating Americans, and then they wind up doing these terrorist acts, and whether it's terrorist acts over here, or if we have Americans over there, and they're killing them and hurting them over there. It's just now today's day and age, it's you got to go to France, you got to go to here, you got to go there, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, and my opinion is that it's you got to throw the oil aspect into it too. So not only is it try to police and keep peace, it's also because we have way too much interest in their fucking oil, and so.
I agree with you, Mikey, but Julia was making a point over here saying that one of the things that has changed in all this time is the population growth. There's a lot more people in the world now than there were back then.
True. Good point by Jules.
Oh, we definitely have. I mean, and sometimes we're invited to do so. Let's not forget that. Sometimes we're invited to do the policing. Now, whether or not I think we should be doing it is really irrelevant. Like Afghanistan's a good for instance. We were invited there to do what we did. Our troops saved a lot of Afghanis from the Taliban.
Yes.
While we were there. With that being said, should we not be policing the world? Again, my opinion on that means absolutely nothing. But it's not just policing the world. Like I said, where do we stop? TR brought up a good point with the cops essentially using their boot to keep us in line. And look how much we've essentially revolted against policing, against the police in this country. Police are some of the most unpopular people in this country now. And I mean, it works both ways. If you have a guy in the Middle East, let's call him a president, in the Middle East, using his boot to do the same thing, or in this case, his troops' boots to do the same thing, people are going to be pissed at the government there, and they're going to revolt, and so on. Like I said, where does it stop? If we say it's okay for a dictator or a president to do that in Iraq, or in Syria, or in Afghanistan, or whatever, then we can't say it's not okay for the cops to do it here. Although you have to throw in the little bit there that we already talked about, where the two groups are already fighting each other. We don't have that kind of civil war here. So how do you stop that kind of civil war? It could be the boot on the throat. It could be we make peace with them the same way we made peace with Japan in 1945.
Yeah, give Turkey water rights, right?
Water rights. Make Turkey beachfront property.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a big mess. There's no doubt about it. It's a big mess. With now France has joined. Italy is teamed up with Russia, and I don't know. It don't look good. I mean, getting into the war type thing. I don't know. The more the little, like I said, I've been off a few days, so I tried to take a break. And but what little bit I've looked into, it looks like the entire world here shortly is getting involved in this. Whether they actually ever call it World War III or not, it looks like it's coming. I don't know that we'll necessarily have enemies coming after us, but at the same time, the United States is not. They got such a headstrong point of view about getting Assad out that we're making enemies throughout Europe and Russia among others. China, even China's making statements they're going after ISIS, and we're not working with them. I mean, so it's almost like we're declaring enemies right off the bat. So I don't know.
That's
I
one of the
think
things that worries me is you have so many countries on both sides of the Syrian thing, not just ISIS, but the Syrian rebels and the Syrian government. You got so many countries operating inside this little bitty country, and they all have different agendas. Sooner or later, somebody's going to screw up. There's going to be an altercation between an American plane and a Russian plane, or a French plane and a Russian plane, or something like that. It's going to kick something off that's going to snowball. That's my concern.
the last I knew, and things may have changed because it's been like a week and a half since the G20 summit. Last I knew, Putin and Obama sat down and agreed that something has to be done about ISIS and Boko Haram and basically Islamic terrorism. Let's just call it that. I really like that. Not because whether I'm a fan of either guy or not is irrelevant. At least agreeing on that has at least postponed that World War III chance. Because if the United States and Russia are talking about, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So as long as Russia is in peaceful talks with the United States against a common enemy, and China's backing Russia, and Italy is backing Russia, and then there's a couple people a couple countries that are backing us, that will postpone that World War III chance. I'm not saying it'll never happen, but at least having a common goal amongst all these players that would be in World War III is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should ally with Russia, China, and Italy, and all these countries. I mean, if we really want to rid the world of ISIS, we should ally with them, and we should forget this. Man, in my opinion, this. I don't know what right wording, but this vendetta against Assad. Forget that. Take out ISIS. Take out Al Qaeda. Take out these terrorist groups. Period. Whether we like Assad or not, fuck that. Leave that alone. That don't matter because Assad is not a threat to the United States, but ISIS is and Al Qaeda is. So let's take those out. We don't have to agree with how Assad runs his country. That's his fucking country. So leave that out. Just take that off the table. Team up with these other countries and take care of business.
And Southern South 357 makes a really good point. It says they're about to start a holy war. It will not be between countries. It will be Christians against Muslims. Then that's what the Crusades were. The Crusades were Christians retaliating against Muslims. That's how that whole thing came about. It was even way back then. I mean, I can't even think of the years off the top of my head that the Crusades lasted. But that's what that was. It was Muslims getting too big for their britches, and the Christians went, or I think it was mostly Catholics, but said, no, that's enough of that shit. That's enough of that shit right now.
Yeah, I want to say, I could be wrong. I want to say it was in the 1500s, 1400s, 1500s, and it had to do with them moving up toward Europe, and there was a legitimate threat there. So it's been a long time since I studied that, so I don't know either, Matt. But yeah, I mean they saw a threat there. Yeah, they were slowly taking over and coming up through towards Europe, and so they'd wanted to put a stop to it, and that's what the Crusades were.
Yeah, it was the 1500s, and that just goes to show that that's been the goal of Islam throughout time, is to have a one world religion under Islam, and they're not going to stop until they get that, or they're eradicated, one of the two.
Louis. Let me see, Louis Munez. I hope I pronounced that right. He puts in stop training Muslim countries. Whether you train them or not, they're being trained, whether it's us or whomever. Unfortunately.
Well, I mean, there has been a lot of evidence of there again. That gets into us meddling in the Middle East. We do train a lot of Muslims. We do give them weapons. I mean, hell, we've been giving tow rockets and all kind of shit to this free Syrian army, and they're turning around and converting to ISIS or selling the weapons or giving the weapons to them and stuff. I mean, there's things that we do that we're fucking up. I see us as being fucking up. That's why I say quit worrying about Assad. Let's take care of the enemy. We know ISIS is the enemy. We know Al Qaeda. And as far as I'm concerned, this Free Syrian Army are probably the enemy of America too. Quit funding them. Quit fucking giving them weapons. Take them out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get confused because you see it. I mean, we've all seen it on Facebook and G Plus and all that other stuff, where the United States is funding ISIS. You know, the United States is funding Al Qaeda, which actually right now we're doing a little bit of that just because Al Qaeda is fighting against ISIS. But again, the enemy of my enemy. With that being said, most people don't understand that when that funding and arming happened, it was while they were working with us. You know, most of that training that happened, it was while we were in that country, and their military said, train us in your ways, because we are ineffective. And they were working with us. Now, what happened after we left, what happened after they got that training and so on, obviously we had no control over. You know, if Mike DeLucia sells me a gun today, as my buddy, the liberal that he is.
I was just going to use it as an example.
You know, my liberal buddy Mike sells me a gun today. If I kill somebody with it tomorrow, that's out of his control. That doesn't mean he funded me to do it, or at least on purpose.
I swear to God, I was just going to use that as an example. I'm like, well, that's like if I sell somebody a gun. I was going to leave out the liberal part, but no, but totally, you're totally right. And, you know, help us protect ourselves from all these groups. Help us, you know, like you just said, you know, from all these people that are bothering us. And yeah, here we'll sell you this, sell you that. And then, like you just said, it gets in the wrong hands or what have you, and then the headline: U.S. supplies so and so with this weapon or that weapon. Knock it off. I mean, just knock it off. You know.
But I think it does prove that every time we do that, which has been every time, the people we fund and help bite the hand that fed them every fucking time. But yet we continue to do it. I mean, even in 2013, I watched a news report. Ben Swan, I'm sure most of y'all know who that is. He had the Department of Defense documents. We were funding the group that it eventually turned into ISIS because they were trying to take Assad out. That's why ISIS is so strong in Syria. That's really where they started. And they have a real big foothold there. And we were funding the shit out of them because they wanted to take Assad out and take over his country. So we funded the fuck out of them. And within a year of us funding the shit out of them, they turned into ISIS. I mean, you would think that we would eventually learn to quit funding these motherfuckers. I don't care who they are, what they call themselves today, because tomorrow they're going to be the enemy of the United States. So quit it.
You'd think we'd have learned with Al Qaeda. I mean, we funded them back in the day because they were fighting Russia.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for us?
Well, and Luis Muniz says they do get more stuff from Russia than anything else. So that's true. Um, these Middle Easterners, they get supplied or have supplies that were Russian supplies. I'm not going to say Russia is funding them. I'm not going to go that far because that'd be like saying we're funding them just because they have our supplies. Again, that's from back when they were helping us with something else. But he's right. They do have more Russian supplies than they do American supplies. And a lot of that probably just has to do with location. You know, neighboring countries and all.
Yeah, I mean it's just like Greg said with Al Qaeda. I mean, you would think in those documents that news story I was watching, they even mentioned that. They mentioned Al Qaeda is that it looks like we could. I forget how it was worded, but they were actually talking about Al Qaeda, how that backfired on us, and that we're funding this group. I forget the name. It's some Arabic name, Al Nurjura, whatever the fuck it was. I don't remember now. But and they were concerned. It's like this could backfire on us, like it did with Al Qaeda. And then a year later, boom, guess what? Yep, it backfired on us. And they may be getting their funding and weapons from somebody else now, but it was just the fact that we kind of started it or helped start it. Let me put it that way. We helped start it. It could have happened anyway, but we were one of the ones that helped start it because they were, like I said, trying to take out Assad. That was our goal. I mean, if we just keep meddling in bullshit and making things worse, these people already hate us. I understand that. But when we fund them and arm them and, kind of create these situations to make it 10 times worse on ourselves, it's like, fucking stop it, please.
Yeah, and again, TR, I'm with you on that. But I think that's not going to happen for like to get back what I said before because of that fucking oil. To do what you want, to do what you just said, pull everything out and leave them all alone, let them be what they want to be and all that, that's cool. But then my thing is that don't rely on them for oil. Just go get we can get our own. We don't even need this to begin with, and that's a whole nother argument in itself. But just walk away, and then we can do what you just suggested. Don't fund them, don't do this, don't do that. But because of that I'm telling you, I just got it stuck in my head that I think Blues Girl said it the best. It's a chess game with real live pawns, with human pawns, and it really is. And unfortunately, it all comes down to the fucking dollar and the oil, and that's what I believe, anyways. And that's why they won't. They'll never. We'll always be there. We're always gonna be there.
Yeah, it's our economic interest.
Right. Until we don't rely on that economic interest anymore. So therefore, you take that economic interest the hell out of there, and then we can walk out. I don't want to go off on topic, but we can survive without their oil. It's already been proven there's oil out in the frickin' frozen frickin' part of what do you call it? But now you got to fight with the tree huggers and all that bullshit. Okay, so we don't need the Middle East's oil. We just don't. And when people just realize that, good. I'm sorry, Matt.
We get very little oil from them. We actually consume very little oil from them. The problem is the rest of the world gets their oil from them.
Right.
And it's traded in our dollar as far as the value goes. And that's where our economic interest comes in. Now, the argument can reasonably be made that if it is no longer traded in the U.S. dollar, that is a threat against our country, an economic threat against our country at least.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's more about the petrodollar than it is the actual oil there. I mean, even with Syria, that all stems from a pipeline that's been proposed and wanting to be done. And I don't know all the details, and to be honest with you, I forget half of what that involved. But it didn't have anything really to do with Assad. It had to do with something that we wanted as far as a pipeline, not necessarily to get oil or whatever resources from them, but to help boost the petrodollar. It didn't, we don't need the oil. You're right. We got hundreds of years of oil in America. Uh, I've heard from 100 to 600 years worth of oil that we have here. We don't even fucking need their oil. We really don't get that much oil from them. I mean, we get some. There's a certain amount that we get, but that's almost under contract. It's like we will buy 25% from you as long as you sell it with a United States dollar to keep the petrodollar alive and all that. And even to deal with Syria and that pipeline, it's not that we need that oil. We just need them to sell it to somebody else and use our dollar. So it's all about economics. Period.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Right now, all international trade is done using the U.S. dollar as the basis, and if we lose that, that could cause an economic collapse in the U.S. That's the whole reason that everybody says it's about oil. It's not really about oil. It's about keeping oil being traded using the U.S. dollar.
Yeah, that's why I said, and that's why I made the comment that it's reasonable to argue that keeping oil being traded in the U.S. dollar is good for the United States, because if not, that's a serious economic threat against our country. Is it worth going to war over? I don't know. I guess that's personal opinion for each individual, but you can't deny that it's definitely a threat against the country. The same way that my brain's not firing with words tonight. Sanctions, same way sanctions are done. Sanctions against other countries. We won't deal with you. That's an economic hit against that country. That's essentially economic warfare. So for another country to say we won't deal in the U.S. dollar when it comes to oil, that's a very similar thing, if not the exact same thing.
Kind of like what we did to Russia over the summer, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's a big mess. I don't know how else to put it. It's a big mess. If anything, us people that's kind of been prepping for bad times, the world economy and the world governments are proving us right on a daily basis that we need to be prepared. Because it looks like some shit's about to go down.
Oh yeah. Well, and I just real quick back on oil.
Mhm.
Oil is probably one of the most important things in our world right now. Everything we are doing at this very minute in our lives revolves around petroleum. The computers that we're on, the cars we drive, the toothbrushes we use, the soap we use, the jobs we go to, the tires on our bicycle and cars. It doesn't matter what you do, even if what you are holding is not actually made of oil, it's still made of oil because it used an oil-burning vehicle to get or ship to get the parts or textiles to wherever it's going and so on. And it can't be replaced. And I'm not saying oil can't be replaced. I'm saying the amount we use can't be replaced by anything else. There's hemp out there, that could help, but it can't replace it.
Yeah, exactly. Just the transportation end of it. I'm not talking about going back and forth to work. I'm talking about the trucks that move the parts, the products, the things that keep the factories running. And then you go past that into the products that are derived from crude oil that go into textiles, plastics, everything, electronics, everything else under the sun. If you got rid of all the oil tomorrow, we'd have to start back over at the Iron Age.
Yeah. Yeah, I work in plastics. I mean, I know. Most people probably know this, but then again, most people probably don't. That everything that you touch that's plastic, that's from oil. Your cell phone, your television frame, your computer, console, everything that you touch that's plastic, that's oil.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we lead, or aren't we in the top anyways, of exporters of plastic? And then, like, let's say to China, and then they sell it back away, sell us these freaking laptops twofold on the plastic we just sold them.
It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know that for a fact, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I thought I read an article a while back that I don't quote me on the number. I thought we were up there in the export on it, but I'll go back and see if I bookmarked it.
You know, Dusty Blue 2FE said, says hemp is awesome, no doubt. No doubt. Hemp can do a lot of stuff for us, but it can't replace our oil consumption. It can't. And if it did, you would see the same wars fought over hemp that you do over oil. It's just how it is. When it comes to economy, when it comes to the stabilization of an economy and a country, it doesn't matter what the product is, whether it's oil, hemp, water, timber, wood, forestry, it doesn't matter. There's going to be conflicts over it between countries, between tribes, between people, between individuals. It's going to happen. It happens on a daily basis. It has happened since the beginning of recorded mankind.
And weapon machinist, I work in plastics, and I think you're wrong. Plastics aren't from soybean oil. It's from oil, crude oil. There may be a lot of plastics that is made from soybean oil, but for the majority of plastics out there, it's made from crude oil.
I think you probably could replace some of it with soybean oil, but the amount of soybean crop that you'd have to produce would be impossible to do to replace crude oil.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking, even in a small plant I work at, millions of pounds. I mean, we got silos 60 feet high, slammed full of fucking little pellets, and they're replenished every couple of days. I mean, it's just the amount of plastic that goes into it. And all we're making is little lids and tops and, fucking contact lens containers. Just little shit you don't even think about on a daily basis. Snuff cans. The cans that, like Copenhagen or Skoal comes in. Shit like that. You just would not believe the volume that goes out of a little plant on a daily basis.
Well, he did comment again, said he was bullshitting you. He wasn't serious about the soybean. But Southern Stop 37 said, do we really need all the plastic? I guess what do you consider need? Because plastic's not the only thing. Again, electronics and so on. But I mean, where do you stop with? Do we really need that? All hospital stuff, the beds, the tubing, surgical tubing, syringes, IV bags, all plastic. Now, that's to say that, just like the bottling, plastic bottling factories and all that, a lot of that's recycled plastic now. But it still started from petroleum-based oil at some point in time. So, I mean, where do you stop? What do we need that's plastic?
Yeah. And 95% of your cars are made out of plastic today too. So
You got that. You got glasses. I mean, most glasses aren't glass anymore. They're
yeah.
a, carbon plastic. Um, just containers. Just something similar, like just like this container that my Chinese food came in today. I mean, I don't know what they're going to serve it in because if it's one of those cardboard containers, it's lined with plastic. So where do you
Yeah.
stop with the word need as far as what do we need that's plastic?
Yeah. Well, and I think it gets back to like what we were saying, that it's not necessarily that we need the oil from the Middle East. We just need them to sell it with a United States dollar. It's more economics than it is anything. Um, but oil is in our daily lives more than people realize. Just like you said, tires. Tires aren't made out of fucking rubber. They're made out of a byproduct of fucking crude oil now. They started out being made out of rubber,
Yeah.
which is derived from a tree, but they're not now. They're a synthetic material made from crude oil.
Asphalt, the roads we drive on. I mean, a lot of people, the argument can be made, well, we go back to stone roads. Shut up.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and there's another comment. It says glass from sand. Any sand around? Yeah, sure, we could make glass from sand. Glass, a lot of glass is made from sand still, but it takes oil burning, petroleum burning machines to do that. It takes petroleum burning machines to ship the sand to said factory. It takes petroleum burning machines to take that glassware to the store that you then take your petroleum burning machine to drive to that store. It still takes petroleum to run the plants that are supplying the electricity to that store. I mean, it's not as simple as just the glass.
I don't know if Frank and Mr. X are still out here, but there's a town in Massachusetts. I want to say it's either Concord, Massachusetts, or Lexington, Massachusetts, one or the other. Ironic enough. You can't get a plastic bottle of soda anymore. Water, gallon jug. They don't sell them. They can't get them. They won't sell you a plastic jug of water. It's like living in the city of Cambridge. It's just silly. But I will tell you one thing about the oil, though. I haven't seen fuel around here under $2 and I can't tell you how long. And I just paid $1.96 for fuel today. That kind of made me a happy camper. Because it's been up. I mean, I think the highest I ever saw it, and that was last year. It was like, I don't know, 380 something for regular gas. But I'll take $1.96 all day, every day. But it's
Yeah,
a need.
they've been running stories that most of America will probably be paying, depending on their state taxes, yeah, less than $2 a gallon for gas. I think it's just surprising. I mean, we have like one of the lowest gas taxes. If you paid 195, I think ours is like, you have to shop around, but maybe 165, 170, something
Yeah.
like that.
Why are you guys so much? But you know what's funny is my kid brother travels down to Arkansas 3 times a year, 4 times a year. He drives down for work, and I was telling him that. I says, I know this guy that lives down in the Carolinas that, because you had mentioned it before, that your gas prices are always, it just seems that you guys are always like 30 cents less than us, no matter what it is. It was, if we were 230, you guys are at 2. For whatever reason it is, it is. And I explained that to him. He goes, no way. I go, yeah. He says, well, Jesus, I feel, and he says, I don't see that. I says, I'm telling you. And he came back about a week and a half or so ago, or the hell it was. He says, hey, yeah, that was cool. I says, yeah, see?
Yeah, probably on the interstates, on the exits. they're
Right, because
probably
it's
not as cheap because they, getting that
oh
traveling
yeah,
people.
oh yeah,
I
you
need to
know,
move back south. It's 236 here, and that's the cheapest I've seen it in 2 years.
You get it for anywhere from a $1.97 to $2.20, depending where you go around here. Honestly, ever since it was like $4 a gallon in Northwest Ohio back in 2008,
yeah,
2008, 2009. Ever since it was $4 a gallon, I haven't really paid attention to gas prices. Because they've been lower than that. So I haven't really cared. I don't shop for gas. I'm not the person that goes across town to save 2 cents a gallon. You know.
right.
Oh,
And
I do.
what's bad is the idiots around here. South Carolina's been on or at least the upstate. Well, I think actually the entire state has been on the uproar that we need to raise our gas prices. We need to raise our gas tax because our roads are in such bad shape. And I just really don't get that. That the people, you read the editorials in the newspaper and they're like, oh yeah, we gotta, our roads are shit and blah blah blah, and I'm like, what? How? Why are you? I mean, this PC bullshit, just like the everything else, with these colleges where they're like, you know, making all this PC bullshit up. I mean, that's kind of what I feel about the road tax thing. It's like you're wanting to raise your taxes 20 cents a gallon because you think the road you drive to go to work is not good enough. The billions that our state takes in is not enough, and I mean, who? How do you not understand the waste of government money that you want to raise your taxes voluntarily and vote for this shit, knowing that the roads ain't going to improve any, but you're going to pay 20 cents more a gallon on gas, and the road you will not see one fucking difference. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You won't see one road crew out there at all.
Right.
But the thing is, the hell we see. I mean, I see road improvements all the time. I mean, yeah, could the roads be better? Sure. But is it worth me paying 20 more cent a gallon over my lifetime for this road that's got a few potholes in it to not have potholes in it? No, no, fuck that. I can just drive around the pothole. you know? I mean, we can go back to tar and gravel roads for all I care.
I just punched that in, and I guess as of 2015, Alaska had the lowest gas tax with a state fuel tax of 11.3 cents per gallon, while Pennsylvania has the highest gas tax with 50.5 cents per gallon. That's a lot of friggin' money.
I tell you what, TR, if they do get that tax hike to go through, I guarantee you the roads won't get any better, but government-paid jobs will get raises.
Exactly. And that's my point. I mean, who hasn't seen some little obscure road get fucking repaved at the end of the year just because they're trying to use their budget up? And it's like they could have used that to actually go to a road that needed it, but now, okay, there's this little half-mile road. Let's repave that. There's only 2 houses on it, but we'll repave it any fucking way because we got to use our budget up. I mean, we see this shit all the time. I'm sure every state does. And then they whine, "Oh, we gotta, we don't have enough money to take care of the roads." Yeah, you do. It's fucking government waste.
Yep.
Well, you know what boggles my mind is that I learned a lot back in the 80s. A buddy of mine owned a gas station. It was a Sunoco gas station, and I wish I could remember what the gas prices were back then. But he was making, you know what he was making? His profit was, he was only getting, let's say it was $1. I got to be right by saying probably $1.50 back then, maybe, right, somewhere along those lines. He's making 8 cents a gallon off of that. And I'm not talking about it because he has to pay his tax, his his insurance for his employees and all that bullshit. He paid that out of the 8 cents of the gallon he made. I was just dumbfounded on that. I can only imagine what it is today. It's probably, whatever.
Yeah,
14 cents out of every gallon sold he gets. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's a lot of fucking money.
I worked at a gas station when I was a teenager, and I think he made, and when I say made, I mean, like you said, that was before taxes, paying me, or anything else. He sold it for like 3 cents more than he bought it a gallon. We were pushing oil changes and all this other stuff to try to make money because he wasn't making it off the gas.
Right.
That's just it. Gas stations do not make any money hardly off of gas. They make their money off of you coming in, stopping to get gas, coming into the store and seeing something else in there that you might need while you're there and buying it. The gas is just to get you in the door. Same thing with cigarettes.
Cigarettes and lottery.
Yeah.
Yep. No, you're right.
Now, I bitch about gas prices a lot because I drive a 1986 Suburban and it's about 9 miles to the gallon. But if you stop and think about it, I spend about $125, $130 a month in gas going back and forth to work and driving around town. If I bought a brand new car that got 30 to 40 miles to the gallon, it would cost me $400 a month. So I'm saving money by driving a gas guzzler because it's paid off. I don't have any car payment. I pay insurance on it and gas. That's it. Maybe some maintenance and upkeep every once in a while. But I'm actually saving about $250 a month driving that big old gas guzzler.
And I swear, I'll tell you what, I swear that I travel one way 23 miles to go to work down the interstate. And I worked at the same place for just about 9 years. And when the gas prices were, like Matt was saying earlier, back to 08, 09, what the hell it was, and they were almost $4 a gallon. I swear everybody and their mother took a train or a bus to go to work. And because it was never traffic. I mean, it was traffic, no one's going to stand me. You're rolling along, you get your morning rush hour traffic, but it was rolling along at 40 miles an hour, the speed limit 65. Now it takes me about an hour and 5 minutes to get to work in the morning. And it's not like this construction and all that. It just is. I swear to God, because the gas prices are so low that they're like, I don't want to take a train. I want to be able to smoke a cigarette, smoke my cigar, smoke a joint, whatever the fuck I want to do, But
I'll tell you what, that time period was great for the sales of motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
Big boom motorcycle sales. Motorcycles, getting 30, 40, 50 mile a gallon.
Yep.
And mopeds. I've seen a shitload more mopeds there for a few
scooters,
years.
Yep. Yeah, well, people are doing what they needed to do, and that's what they do. It's, like back in the Depression days, obviously you didn't have the money to go take your shoes to the shoe man. You did it yourself, or you found a neighbor that did it and baked them fucking cookies or something stupid like that. Whatever. Or you know what I'm saying? Or you, whatever, fixed his roof, whatever the hell it might have been. But, now it's just crazy. It really is. It's just crazy nowadays.
Yeah, that little CBR, that little red CBR that I ride, I got it in the Shadow, but I mean, even the Shadow gets 58 miles a gallon, and that little CBR is 72 miles a gallon. And when it's not now, I'm driving my truck now because it's 40 degrees in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit too cold for. But if gas was $4 a gallon, I'd be riding my fucking CBR. I'd just be bundled the fuck up and hugging down on the fucking tank.
The barter system works in small amounts, small areas, small groups of people, but it's impossible to work on a national scale. It just is. You can't do it.
No.
And the barter system ultimately ends up where you're going to have, anyway, a small group of people with all the shit and nobody with anything else left. I mean, that's ultimately the end result of the barter system. So it works for a short amount of time, and it works in small groups. But on a large scale, the barter system just doesn't work.
There's a couple of small towns up in Maine, one of which where I hunt, and there's people in that community that still barter with each other, and they keep it on the hush hush because they don't want to get like that. There's some TV show, I don't know, Alaskan people living in the bush or what have you. I forget the name of the show, but somebody had to go to the dentist or what have you, and so they wanted to barter, and he says, "Oh, the dentist says, yeah, we can barter, but obviously it's going on television." So he says, you still got to pay, you still got to pay the Uncle Sam bill, you know what I mean? And it's,
There's a question out in the chat room, because we can probably do this all night, but somebody asked, Blues Girl said, are you guys having to buy Obamacare yet? I haven't paid for it in 2 years, and I haven't been fined yet, so not
you haven't?
No.
You got lucky.
Well, I do my own taxes, first of all.
Yeah.
So it's not, everybody I know that a lot of people I know that did their own taxes didn't have to pay the fine, and most of the people I know that have like H&R Block and shit do their taxes, they had to pay the fine, because there was, in my tax forms last year on TurboTax, there was the question, why didn't you have insurance? They gave you like 4 or 5 answers to choose from, multiple choice, and one of them wasn't affordable, and so I just clicked that, and it says, all right, you don't have to pay the fine.
Wow. They fined I had a nephew, still, I mean, I still have him, but he was working, he was the manager of frickin' CVS. Okay, see, full time, not part time, full time. They offered no, and it still dumbfounds me that a conglomerate like CBS didn't offer fucking health insurance. It amazed me, number one. But at any rate, he does his taxes, and again, he didn't do as you did and did himself. He went to wherever, we'll say H&R Block, and he wound up paying. And he was single with no kids and the whole nine, so he paid a little bit more.
Deb, one of my sons works for Microsoft, and they do offer health insurance, but you have to pay for it out of your paycheck. And it was, they offered, I think it was Apple down in his area was the Obamacare health insurance, and it cost him, I think, $600 a month for health insurance. So he just didn't take the health insurance. He's like, I'll put that $600 in the bank, and I pay the $1,000 a year because it's a lot cheaper than being on Obamacare. Yeah. Same thing with my wife. I'm on Medicare. I'm on full disability. She doesn't work. She tried to get on Obamacare, and they told her that I make too much money on disability for her to get Medicare, and Apple told her that I didn't make enough for them to offer it to her. So she's stuck in the middle. She's one of those that slipped through the cracks. She can't get it either way.
Right.
The whole thing is screwed up.
Yep.
Yeah, I know it's beginning, the start of the new year's coming up, and, every year redo your contracts.
Yep.
With where I work, they do have health care, and you have to have health care of some type. I don't care if it's VA or what, but they don't allow you to work there without insurance of some kind. So anyway, I took the cheapest way out, and there's actually a few doctors' offices that I looked into that do, just normal care. I'm not talking cancer, maybe not even broken bones or anything like that, but just, if you just need to go to a checkup or you got some kind of high blood pressure, whatever. There's doctors' offices out there now that they don't accept insurance. They just take cash only, cash, debit, whatever. And if you want to file with the insurance, that's up to you. But they won't take insurance. And it's actually cheaper to go to one of those doctors with the insurance I have and not use my insurance than trying to use my insurance and go to some doctor that takes insurance. I can just go in and pay 60, 70 bucks for a doctor's visit, and that's actually cheaper than trying to use my insurance and go to a doctor that's covered under their plan.
Yeah, like when I was working construction, I didn't have insurance back in the '90s, and and this is what used to piss me off. So I get sick or what have you, or need whatever, and there was no, we'll go for this test, 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 bullshit. Here, go do this, bang, and that was it. So you pay for that doctor's visit, you paid for the referral to the next guy, you took the meds or whatever they gave you if you needed meds or whatever the hell the story was that I had, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? There was no, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Rick Thomas out in the chat room says Obamacare is a tax. I don't think anybody was arguing that. I think we all pretty much, I mean, it's a fact. It is a tax. But as far as what TR was saying, there's has been a resurgence of these, and I can't remember, there's a name for them, these kind of doctors, but it's almost like a membership fee, like belonging to a health club. And they're a general practitioner. They don't do surgeries. They don't reset bones and things of that nature. Common colds, checkups, things of that nature.
Nurse practitioner.
And they're actually really affordable. I do not know if they're covered under the guidelines for Obamacare to where you can avoid the fine. But if you don't want to pay for the insurance, you have the money to pay the fine at the end of the year. It's a very inexpensive option to still have some sort of coverage so you can go see a doctor.
Yeah. I mean, I got the 3 kids, so I have to get the coverage, and now the wife went from working full-time nurse to part-time nurse, part-time school teacher, because she's part-time on both. She doesn't get offered insurance, so I still get, I had to take up my insurance again and go back to paying whatever the hell it is, $120 a week.
Well, the way I looked at it is like, I mean, I got insurance because I do pay into the plan, but it just don't really cover small stuff very well. And I was like, that one or 2 times I might need to go to the doctor during the year. I'm not on any kind of medication, so it's not like I need a prescription or anything like that. With the lowest coverage they offer at work, the cheapest way out, I was like, well, hell, I'll just. And you're right, Matt. The ones I was talking about, they have like a yearly plan. You pay whatever it is, $600 a year, something like that. Or you just go in there and pay them. If you do the $600 or $700 a year, you got so many doctor's visits for free. But if you don't do the yearly plan, you just go in and pay the $70, $80 and you're done. So I'm like, well, if I need to go see the doctor, if I get a bad whatever, flu or something, I'll just pay the $80 and go in there and see him and be done with it.
Yeah. And insurance is now insurance coverage mainly because of Obamacare. I mean, when I started working, man, it didn't matter what insurance plan I had. I could go anywhere, see any doctor. There wasn't this. I have this coverage, so there's these hospitals or these doctors I can go to. That didn't exist.
Right.
But mostly because of Obamacare. There's so many doctors that won't see you now. It's expensive. The care is absolute shit.
Well, you're in Arizona, I mean.
I haven't been to the doctor. I'm sorry. I've been to the doctor once here. It was on workman's comp. My hand had a fight with the grinder, and the grinder won. And my finger and bone lost. It left. You can't see it on camera, but it left a pretty nasty scar. But they did great. They did great, man. They kept bringing me back and taking care of it and all that. It healed right. I never really had a whole lot of pain. Um, the people were friendly, and it was fast. I was in and out fairly quickly.
Yep.
I was real happy with the care I got with them. But there's some places that just are absolute shit care anymore. Because of what Obamacare has done to medicine in this country. I'm not saying it was perfect before, but it was better than what it is.
Yep. See, I'm on a monthly. I take medication, and I get it like once a month, and I have to pay $20 is my copay thing. But if I didn't pay the copay, the freaking drugs are like $305 or $304 or $304, $305, and I'm like, really? And it's like, so I have no choice. And like I said, and I have the kids, and so it's maddening. But
Yeah, and well, you may know this, Mike. When you grew up, how many times did you go to the doctor when you was a kid?
well, too many times. I was just getting stitches fucking once a month.
Really?
Oh my
Yeah,
God, yeah, we'd
I
be
hardly.
throwing rocks at each other, or being out in the woods and getting a stick in the eye, or across the forehead, or oh my God, forget my adult life, my child life, with no exaggeration whatsoever, from the time I was like 5 or 6 till I was like 14, 15 years old, 16 years old. Shit, I probably got stitches a good 15, 20 times.
Damn.
You
Well,
know.
you're not a good example.
So it's once a year, you think about it, it's once, almost twice a year, you know what I mean? Once, 1.25 times a year I was there, and I'm one of 6 kids to boot. So it's like,
I was just gonna say, hell, when I was a kid, I hardly ever went to the doctor. It didn't matter what kind of fucking cut I got. I remember getting stabbed in the foot. The fucking knife went damn near through my whole foot. Now, my dad just poured kerosene on it,
call it a
and
day.
that was it, and wrapped it up.
Rub some dirt on it and walk it off.
Yeah, exactly. And he literally, I'm serious, he literally poured fucking kerosene on it.
My father told, my dad told me the story that when I was born, it cost him out of pocket $3. He used to work for General Electric. Cost him $3 to have me and my 2 sisters, and as as the years went on, my last brother was born in '75. I think it cost him $52 for him.
Well, my dad told me it costed him without insurance $500 for me, and I think my mom was in the hospital for a fucking week.
Yeah.
But that was in 1968. So
yeah, you try that now, right? What is it now?
about 5 or 10 grand, and that's they probably only keep you overnight.
Yeah, I was
Well,
amazed.
It's more than that. It's more like 25 grand nowadays.
Is it?
Yeah.
Somebody out in the chat room asked, and I can't remember who it was, but it says, why is healthcare so expensive? Think about that. Well, from the beginning of time, healers, the medicine man, was the most important person in that tribe. They were the most protected. They were the most looked up to. And it's no different today. I'll pay a doctor whatever they want, as long as you can fix me. Not that I go to the doctor very often. I'm just saying in general.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest scam out there is medication, especially if you're on something that you have to have. Let's say I'll give you an example with me and Julia. I'm not on blood pressure medication anymore, but I was for years. We took the same medication, lisinopril, the same dosage, 10 milligrams. Because I'm on Medicare, it costs me $5 for my prescription for the month. Because she doesn't have any insurance, it costs her $66 for the exact same thing. And if it's something that's life-threatening, like diabetes, which I have, the metformin, that if I didn't have insurance, that metformin would cost me something like $125 a month. With insurance, it cost me $575, I think, a month. But that's where they get you, is on the medication, especially if it's something that you're going to be taking the rest of your life and you'll die without.
Right. Well, and Truth Free says before the 1940s, how many people were born at home? Yeah, that's not a good comment. That's not a good comment because they didn't live either. You know, the mortality rate was through the roof.
Yeah. You'll find some. I mean, I knew a few people that were born in their homes, but, you know, they're well in their 80s now, but it's far and
I'm
few
just saying, the
between.
farther back you go,
The more,
yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, they were born at home and then they died tomorrow, you know?
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, you guys don't want to get me started on doctors. I've been through 16
it's-
surgeries in the last 3 years, so I'm fed up with doctors and doctors' bills.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, we may do a medical chat one night, and because like you say, Greg, that's a whole nother fucking chat.
I'll tell you, in 1991, in 1991, I broke my first and second vertebrae in my neck. All right, and that hospital bill, I was in the hospital for 13 days. I was in ICU for 5 of those 13 days, and that hospital bill came up to about $342,000, and of which I think I had to pay about $3,000. And that's back in '91. I can only imagine what that would. I can only imagine what that'd be today.
And it didn't fix your face?
No, they left this beautiful fish just the way it is. They added some gray hair to it because I didn't have a goddamn gray hair in my head or on my face in 1991. I'll tell you that right now. I had some nice blonde hair back then.
You kind of left the door open. I had to throw that in
It's
there.
all good. It's all good. You know, before long, I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm getting so white / gray, right? Jesus, I'm telling you, the next couple of months, I'm going to start looking like Matt.
And he's 10 years younger than us.
No shit, right?
Well, it's been a couple of hours. Probably going to, since we're kind of getting all, not all subject, we didn't have a subject to start with, but we're starting to kind of drift off onto some other subjects. I'm going to go ahead and end this, if that's okay with everybody, unless there's something somebody wants to talk about, get off their chest.
Nah, you're the boss, man.
No, I mean, I just want to make sure there's not something that somebody wanted to talk about. But it's been a few hours. Appreciate everybody out there in the comment section, the audience we have. I appreciate you guys coming in here. I really do. Matt, Mike, and Greg. I'm going to go ahead and let each of y'all do a little outro if you want to. Mike, would you like to do an outro and talk about your channel or anything?
Sure, why not? Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do an outro and reading DP's friggin' comment. Mikey, you old bastard, you're probably old enough to be my pa. You're funny. I'm not that old. T.R.'s older than I am. Yep, Mike DeLucia, and for those of you that don't know, I do have that chat. Ohio Wolverine and I have a chat Friday nights, 10 p.m. 1 week Eastern Standard, and like 11:30ish the next. I also have I was up in New Hampshire today with Working Class Woodsman, and I got to download it, bring it up tomorrow on my channel, but I'm doing a few more videos than I have in the past, so you can check those out too. And as always, TR, thank you for having me. Appreciate coming. I love being here. Thanks.
Cool. Anytime, man. Greg, would you like to say anything?
Sure. Just thanks for having me on there. And Matt, I'm a little behind on your videos. I'm about 3 days behind on my static video stream, but really looking forward to that drop holster one that you got out there. And also wanted to tell everybody about the conflicted card series that you're doing. I think that's awesome, and I hope to see a lot more out of that. The one that you and TR and Shammer and everybody are on. That's about it.
Cool. Matt?
I appreciate that, Greg. Yeah, got another 3 or 4 gear reviews coming out over the next week or so. One's going to be really fun. I'm just gonna say that. It's a bit of a torture test, so to speak, and it involves body armor. But so yeah, look for that in the next week or so, and then yeah, in 2 weeks, December 5th. Yeah, December 5th, we'll do another Conflicted Card Series prepper chat on my channel. So you'll look out for that. And if I don't talk to everybody before then, have a good, happy, safe, and filling Thanksgiving. I'm thinking about going to Walmart and buying a bird and carving it with a shotgun and an AK-47.
You're gonna fill with bird shot.
Good.
All right, and with that, I just want to thank everybody for coming by. Thanks for the panel for being here, and I thought it was a good chat, good conversation. I thought it was a good, another good chat. So with that, make sure and check out, like Mike said, Matt would be 2 Saturdays from now, his chat. Mike has a chat every Friday night, either 10 p.m. Eastern or midnight. I'm assuming it would be 10 p.m. this coming Friday. And
No, midnight this coming Friday because you guys are doing the you have the conundrum this Friday. Don't you?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it'd be midnight. So anyway, there's so many fucking chats I can't keep up with them.
No, they're fun though. They're fun.
Oh, I have a blast. I love the chats. I love interacting with everybody, whether it's on the external or just talking to you guys face to face here. So, and I'll have a chat Tuesday night at 9:30, and that's a little different chat, probably more economy than anything. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming by, and we'll see you next time.